Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Fluent Mic English, the podcast where we break down the English language into manageable, bite-sized pieces to help you speak with confidence. I am your host, and today we are tackling a massive yet essential topic. We are going to explore the foundation of your daily vocabulary.
That's right. Hello, everyone. It is great to be here. You know, when we talk about learning a language, we often obsess over big, complicated words. We think that using difficult vocabulary makes us sound smart. But actually, native speakers rely heavily on a core list of high-frequency words.
Exactly. Today, we are discussing the concept of the daily 100. These are the 100 most important words spoken daily in English. Now, obviously, we cannot list all 100 words in 15 minutes, or we would just be reading a dictionary, which would be terribly boring. Well, it would certainly put me to sleep. So instead of reading a list, we are going to categorize them. We'll look at the superverbs, the connectors, and the descriptive words that make up this list. These are the words that glue our sentences together. Let's start with the most active category, the superverbs. In the top 100 words used in English, verbs like get, make, do, and go appear constantly. Let's focus on get for a moment. It is arguably the most versatile word in the English language.
Oh, absolutely. Get is a chameleon. It changes its meaning depending on the context. For our listeners, context means the situation in which the word is used. For example, if I say, I need to get some milk, simply means buy or obtain.
Right, but if you say, I need to get to work, suddenly get means arrive. And if you say, I don't get it, it means understand. So in our list of 100 words, get is doing the work of 3 or 4 different definitions. I see what you mean. It's about efficiency. Native speakers love efficiency. Why say, I became hungry, when you can just say, I got hungry? It's shorter and punchier. So for our learners, mastering get is a huge step toward fluency. Moving on to another pair that confuses everyone, make and do. These two are always in the top 20 most spoken words. The difference is subtle but important. Generally, make involves creating something, while do involves an action or a task.
That is a good rule of thumb. A rule of thumb is a practical and approximate way of doing or measuring something. So the rule of thumb is you make a cake, you make a decision, you make a plan. You are creating those things, but you do your homework, you do the dishes, or you do a favor. And yet, there are always exceptions, aren't there? We say make the bed, even though we aren't building it from scratch, we're just arranging the sheets. But these collocations, words that naturally go together, are vital. If you say do a mistake instead of make a mistake, people will understand you, but it won't sound natural. Exactly, and natural is what we are aiming for here. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. We have covered some action words. Now let's talk about connectors or transition words. These are in the top 100 because we use them to bridge our thoughts. Words like because, but, so, and actually.
I love the word actually. It is number 1 on my list of words that instantly make you sound more fluent. Many students confuse it with currently because of similar words in languages like Spanish or French. But in English, actually means in fact or really. It's used to correct a misconception.
Right. Like if I asked, is it raining outside? And you said, actually, it's sunny now. You are correcting my assumption. Another huge one in spoken English is just. We use just all the time to soften our language or to indicate a short amount of time.
Can you give us an example of softening language with just?
Sure. If I say, I want to talk to you, it sounds serious, maybe even scary. But if I say, I just want to talk to you for a minute, it sounds friendly and low pressure. It minimizes the imposition. It's polite.
That is a great tip. Politeness is often hidden in these small words. Let's look at time words. In our daily 100 list, words related to time are everywhere. Now, later, always, never, sometimes.
Well, time dictates our lives, doesn't it? One word I hear students underutilize is lately. It's a great way to talk about the recent past. Instead of saying, in the last few weeks I have been busy, you can simply say, I've been busy lately.
Yes, lately and recently are very high frequency. Another group we must touch on is pronouns. Obviously, I, you, he, she, they are the most used words. But let's talk about they for a singular person. This is becoming very common in standard English.
That is a very relevant point.
If you don't know the gender of a person or if you are speaking generally, we use they. For example, if a customer calls, tell them I am in a meeting. We don't say tell him or her, we just say them. It's much smoother. Smoother and faster. English speakers love speed. Now, let's talk about thing and stuff. These are vague words, but they are incredibly common in spoken English when we don't want to be specific. Right, stuff is usually uncountable. I have a lot of stuff to do. We don't say stuffs, it is always singular in form. Whereas thing is countable. I have 3 things to tell you. These words are placeholders. They save us the effort of naming every single object. We cannot talk about the top 100 words without mentioning prepositions. In, on, at, for, to. These are the nightmares of English learners because the rules seem to change constantly. They really do. I always tell students not to memorize grammar rules for prepositions, but to memorize phrases. Don't ask why it is on the bus, but in the car. Just memorize on the bus as a single unit of vocabulary. That is the best advice, chunking, learning chunks of language. Speaking of chunks, let's look at the verb look. It is in our top list, but it is rarely used alone. It is usually look at, look for, look after. Phrasal verbs. Look for means to search. I am looking for my keys. Look after means to take care of. Can you look after my dog? These combinations are used more frequently than the formal words search or care for. So if you are listening to this and feeling overwhelmed, remember, you don't need to learn fancy academic words to be conversational. You need to master these simple words and how they combine. Precisely. Let's touch on a few adjectives before we finish. In the top 100, we see words like good, bad, big, small, happy, sad. They seem basic, but they are the foundation. But native speakers often use intensifiers with them. We don't just say it was good. We say it was really good or it was pretty good. That word pretty is interesting. Here, it doesn't mean beautiful. No, it doesn't. When pretty is used before an adjective, it means moderately or quite. If I say the movie was pretty good, it means it was enjoyable but not amazing. It's a very common qualifier in spoken English. Another common adjective is busy. In Western culture especially, everyone is always busy. It's the standard answer to how are you? True. How are things? Oh, you know, busy. It is a cultural marker as much as a vocabulary word. And speaking of you know, that is a filler phrase that we use constantly. It checks for understanding or agreement. Let's list a few more random but essential words from the top 100. Way, as in no way, or this is the way, or is this the right way? Yes, way can mean a method, a direction, or a path. Also part of the problem, take part in, and don't forget place. Let's go to my place usually means let's go to my house or apartment. That is a crucial distinction, home and house and place. We use place very casually. Nice place you have here. It's broad and easy to use. We should also mention the modal verbs, can, could, should, would. These are indispensable. They express ability, possibility, and advice. You simply cannot speak English without them. Could is wonderful for politeness. Can you help me is okay, but could you help me is softer and more polite. Again, a lot of spoken English is about softening the tone. Well, that brings us back to the social aspect of language. These 100 words are not just for transferring information. They are for building relationships. Saying thanks, sorry, and please, which are definitely in the top list, smooths out social interactions. Absolutely. And let's not forget really. We mentioned it earlier, but it is used to show interest. If you tell me I won the lottery and I say, really? I am encouraging you to tell me more. It's active listening. Using these small words like really, right, yeah, and okay shows the speaker that you are engaged. If you stay silent, it feels awkward. So let's recap the main categories we found in this daily 100 list. We have the superverbs, get, make, do, the prepositions, in, on, at, the pronouns, the time words, and the connectors. And the humble articles, the, a, and am. We didn't talk much about them, but the is actually the most frequently used word in the English language, period. It is, and it is the hardest to master because the rules are so complex. But for our listeners, focusing on the communication words, the verbs and adjectives, will give you the biggest boost in fluency right now. Agreed. Don't worry if you miss an A or a the. Focus on get, have, want, need. Those are the engines of your sentences. I want to highlight want and need. They express desire and necessity. I want a coffee versus I need a doctor. The difference is critical. And the polite version of want is would like. That is a phrase that should be in everyone's top 100 arsenal. I would like a menu, please, is much better than I want a menu. That is a perfect example of moving from basic English to natural, polite English. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage our listeners to look at the show notes. We have compiled the full list of these 100 words for you to review. Yes, print it out. Highlight the ones you don't use often. Maybe you use obtain instead of get. Try to switch to get for a week. See how it changes the flow of your speaking. That is a great challenge. Pick 5 words from the list that you know but rarely use, and force yourself to use them in conversation today. It's about activation. Activation is key. Passive vocabulary are words you understand when you hear them. Active vocabulary are words you actually speak. We want to move these 100 words into your active vocabulary. Well said. Remember, fluency isn't about knowing every word in the dictionary. It's about using the most common words with total control and confidence. Thank you so much for joining me today for this discussion. It was my pleasure. It is always fun to geek out on vocabulary. Keep practicing, everyone. Thank you all for listening to Fluent Mic English. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave